fascinating story to share with you now. We're going to be chatting with 20-year-old Luna Jarvis, who's had seven strokes.
Who had to learn to walk again after suffering strokes at the age of just 20.
The video that Luna posted online about her experience is now being viewed thousands of times.
My guests in the studio, Luna Jarvis and Louis Ryder. You've arrived at hospital.
Yep.
A doctor is assuming you're drunk
Yes.
rather than suffering from a stroke.
Yeah.
Luna doing this video and making this blog is spread awareness, and it's making everyone aware that it can happen to anyone at any time, and it's amazing.
Hello and welcome. I want this section of the series to be a explanation, what is a stroke, what happens to a stroke, what the effects are, and I'm going to do my best to explain it. I want to clarify, this is just from my perspective. You know, it's not going to be the same for everyone, alright? This is just moi. The first thing I want to talk about is a thing that got me more than anything else, and it is the inability to think properly. I'll show you it now. This is my brain. What you're seeing right now, this is a scan of my brain, and that white little pie slice is the dead part of my brain. Now that part is never coming back. That's like dead. And the things that that part could do, I can't do anymore because it's dead. So let's get a bit into what that part was responsible for and what consequently I am no longer able to provide. The type of stroke I had is called an ischemic stroke. I do not think I'm saying that right, but it's here for you to Google. And I had it in the parietal lobe. What that part of the brain is responsible for, to name but a few items of interest, was sensation on your entire left side, temperature detection, pain detection, and cognitive understanding. Let's start with cognitive understanding. When people talk to you, your brain hears a chunk of noise and then it separates it into words. It says that it's the language that you speak, and then it gives each of those sounds, which they've discovered to be words, as meaning. Then you register what they said and your brain acts as a response. I can't do that anymore. So quite often when people talk to me, I just hear noises. Like, I just hear a length of noise. I don't hear the detailed word of each sentence. I just hear the length. Quite often, if people aren't looking at me or I don't see their lips move, then I don't know what they've said. The only way I can figure out what someone is saying is if I look deep in the lips and I read. I have since learned that's completely normal, because when the stroke first happened and I was having a bit of a oh woe is me moment, I got really upset because I felt dumb. I felt like I'd been given a dodgy version of myself that didn't work properly, and it didn't understand. Everyone was saying that I was normal, but I wasn't, because in my head things weren't working as much. And then I discovered that it's called aphasia. And aphasia is when you've had a stroke and you don't understand words. But not only that, say if I wanted to say a hammock, I would say canoe by mistake, because my brain sees similar shapes and then it swaps the words around. So quite often I will mean to say a sentence, but I'll say it in a different way, because my brain last minute will either change what it wants to say or give me different words to use. What once was organised into tiny boxes is now a giant chaotic vacuum of shit. But it was so comforting to find out that it was something and I wasn't just going completely insane. There was a time when I was really upset about it. What I'm going to show you now is 4 or 5 weeks post-stroke. I was in a horrible, horrible place. Don't worry about it, but I recorded it because I didn't know what else to do, and I thought it would be useful to future me, and it was.
It feels so awful. Everybody says to me all the time, they say, you're okay, you're fine, you're acting normal, but I'm not acting normal because I know what's in here. And it's so different than how it was before. It's like a shitty, buggy version of Luna that just keeps breaking and glitching and broken a bit. It needs an update. I can't explain it in another way. To go from being so independent and enjoying being young, I really liked it. I didn't take it for granted. I really liked it, and now I feel like a pensioner, but I'm 20. I've got really good at pretending I can feel this, but the reality is that I can't feel any of my left side. I don't say the right words. I don't know what people are saying anymore. They speak and I just hear noises. I can't put it into a language. And I know what I want to say, but I'm never ever saying what I want. It's like a similar sentence, but it's not what I would say. And it's not what I wanted to say. I don't know if that makes sense or not. My reaction speed and my thinking and my sarcasm, quick wit, whatever, it's really, really slow. And it's like everything takes years. And I think people think I'm really dumb. I feel dumb. I feel so stupid. Because it's not working. Nothing's working anymore. I can't shower without my mum. I can't go to uni without my mum. I can't walk without a stick. When I'm in lectures, I physically don't know what they're saying. I just hear noises. I don't hear the information. It doesn't come back to me. I don't have a bloody clue. My brain has died, and that's never, ever coming back. And that's really scary, because I needed that. I'm gonna go sit in a tent now.
So I'm in a tent now. I have a tent in my uni room. I like small spaces. That's not why I got it. This sounds a bit weird. I've got it for a film. I'm making a film. I needed a tent. Thought might as well make a colourful tent that is in keeping with my aesthetic and attire. So here we are. After calming down, it all just fades away again, and it's not like the problem's lessened. It's just like when our capacity to deal with problems is like this big, and we get a problem that's this big, I think we just shut down. I had no idea, legit had no idea that young people could have strokes. Neither did the paramedics, who should be trained to do so. Neither did safety people, whatever. People should know. If people knew that, I would have probably still be able to feel my left side. I don't know what future me will do, I think. Sitting here in tears isn't the best presentation, for the reason to let people my age know, warn them if you like, that if you think it's a stroke, it probably is. So what is a stroke? A stroke, well, the type of stroke I had, as we know, is called an ischemic stroke, and it happens in the parietal lobe. Parental. And what it is when you get a clot of blood, which is blood that's thicker than normal, and it clogs up the little arteries, stops oxygen getting through, and then the brain will start to die. I'm on clopidogrel, and it is a blood thinner, and I have it in this wonderful little pill box here, because for a hemplo, today I forgot to take it. It's just like a small Smartie, and I have to take one of them a day, forever and ever. To clarify, because I've had a lot of questions, and so will it get better sort of things, it's dead. No. I have this on me at all times. This is a medical bracelet, a medical ID. Luna Jarvis, stroke patient, with the little symbol, and then on the back here, please inform medics, ischemic stroke on the 7th of February 2018, just so you know, if I fall over on the street, people won't think I'm pissed again.
So a thing leading on from the cognitive thing, when I said about temperature detection, that's an interesting thing, because if I pick something up from the fridge or the freezer, that hurts with this hand. If I get it too warm, that hurts. What's happening is my brain is aware that something's touching it, but because it can't feel what it is, it sends me pain signals just to make sure that I'm aware of it, just in case it's something bad. So everything with a temperature that's not room temperature really, really hurts. Going on from that, showers are horrible. Water coming on the left side is so painful. It's literally like you're being burned alive. The first time I showered in the hospital was horrendous. I was wailing and screaming, and my mum was crying because she didn't want to hurt me, but I needed to shower. And then since then, it's got a bit easier because I've learned tips and tricks to kind of get the best water experience. It makes me really weak as well. At the start, every time I used to have a shower, I then had to go for a sleep. The hospital gave me this. It is a little chair to sit in, but I never really used it because I always wanted to try and stand. So I've got that chair in my uni house, and speaking of what else I've got in my uni house, we also have a stroke chart right next to the chunder chart, and I'm winning.
So to lose your independence on such a massive scale after you've been so used to it was a bit horrible. I couldn't shower by myself at the beginning because I was half paralysed and my whole body was just like that. It wouldn't move, I couldn't move it. I couldn't feed myself, I couldn't go to the loo by myself. Every hobby I had, like piano, drawing, eating, living, I couldn't really do anymore. One of the things that took away my independence completely was my makeup. I wear makeup because I like colours and I like to express the fact that I like colours on my face, because if you can put colours on it, put it on. And it used to take me 5 minutes, and I used to do it with my left hand, and I'd like do the eyeshadow with my finger and the eyeliner and all sorts, just with my left hand, wouldn't even pick up my right. Then, after the stroke, the thing you need to know first is I didn't want to lose my independence to the point where, as soon as I was discharged from hospital, I went back to my uni house, and 4 days after being discharged, I went back to uni. And a week after being discharged, I went out clubbing. Very much not feeling this side because I did not want to lose my independence. I didn't want to go and see my friends that I hadn't seen for ages looking like I was sick. I wanted to look well, and I wanted to look like me because I certainly didn't feel it. I sat down, well, I sat, I was lying in my bed. They put the little table thing over, picked up the eyeshadow. It was an absolute mess. I couldn't even hold a pen. I couldn't hold the eyeliner. I forgot how to hold a pen. And then this nurse came in, and I'm talking to her now, and I've invited her to come to Freshers Week with my friends because I will never not have respect for her, and what she did for me was more than just makeup. She happened to be, this nurse, she happened to be a makeup artist in her spare time, and she taught me how to do it again. She got me medical tape and she put it on my eyes here. It allowed me to have a sort of guide, and I did my eyeliner, and then I just ripped it off, and it just looked like me. And then I cried again because I kind of come to terms at that point that I was never ever going to be able to do my makeup again. And there it was. It didn't look perfect, it looked like shit, but it was there, and it was like, we can improve from this. And it took me an hour, and after I did it, I was so exhausted I had to sleep for like a day, but she saved it. She just saved it. There's a thing that you get with a stroke where forever, so it seems, it feels like you're carrying around a sack of spuds, and it's heavy and you're tired. Like everything you do is added effort because this side is numb, but it's heavy as well because you don't equate for what you're carrying. When my brain's working so hard to use my unused brain to replace the dead part, it has to shut down the rest of my body because it only has the energy to work on one thing. And this is completely, utterly the most common thing for stroke people. You get severe and extreme fatigue. When I first had the stroke, I slept once for 2 days. When I got back to my uni house, I had to have a walking stick for a start. I had to use it to walk everywhere, not just because I needed it, but because I needed people to know that there was an issue and to not bash me because I look very normal. My mum actually moved from Norfolk, which is my home, to Lincoln for a month. She quit her job for a month and she came to Lincoln to look after me. She'd shower me, she'd cook me food, she would drive me to my uni because I couldn't walk there myself. But when I was there, I had a stick. I'm hobbling in with my stick to the lecture, and I do not understand a word because the aphasia is so heightened at this point. I literally just hear noise. It was more about the principle for me of coming back and cracking on, essentially. But when I got home, back to my uni house, I just for the whole night. Coming back here, I have my summer job. It's the best job in the world, by the way. I don't say this enough. I work with these creatures, dinosaurs, and it's the most amazing job I've ever had. But it's outside, it's all day. You are playing in ball pits, you are playing down slides, and it's fun, but it hurts. You're looking at these things and this fun that you used to have, and you can do, like, you know it like the back of your hand, but you can't. And it's the hardest thing to get your head around. Since coming back to Norfolk, I have had an MRI scan, which is where you sit in this sort of machine. Because it was a head scan and a head and neck scan, I had to have this metal mask over my head. and I just sat still in a tube for 45 minutes.
Editing note, I also had a 7-day heart monitor in which I was only allowed to shower for like 10 minutes, which if you have a numb side of your body is quite hard to achieve. Did that. They lost the results, so now I've got to do one again.
I've had a heart echo, which is where they put loads of stickies on. They kind of like ultrasounds, they see your heart, put a cannula in, which they got wrong a few times, so after like 4 cannulas they shoved it in, and then they push in salt water, and you can see from the salt water if you have holes in your heart because you can see it travel. I've had over like 20 blood tests. I filled up many tubes. What happened with part 1 was astounding. I didn't realise that it was such an issue. I really didn't. I thought it was just me, and then it didn't matter that much. And then I got, and I shit you not, hundreds of messages from people, from young people who were also thought to be drunk, which in some cases did cost them their lives. And I had a guy that was left in A&E for 2 days. This is a huge problem that no one was talking about before, and now they're talking, and I can't thank you all enough. All these people from around the world now know who I am, and they're telling me their experiences, and it's harrowing that this is such a common thing. Strokes are in the top 10 cause of death in young people. I think the reason it is because people don't think they're strokes. I cannot tell you the reason I had the stroke yet. If you know me, then you'll know. If you don't, I'm really sorry. I just want to go on the record and thank all of my friends at uni. I want to thank Louis, Robin, Chris, Smithy, everyone. And I'm sorry, because I can't list all you, there's like 30 of them, but thank you all. You've been amazing, can't thank you enough. Let's finish on a funny anecdote. On one of the nights where I got visibly intoxicated, I thought it would be funny to flash to people. Now I had a bra on underneath, but I flashed, and everyone went, so I did it 3 more times, obviously, to get the reaction, and only after that did I realise my numb tit was hanging out. On that lovely note, thank you.
On the word. I have a choice.
Oh my god,